The Hoop Heads Podcast is brought to you by Head Start Basketball.
Tough conversations help you continue to grow as a team and help you to build real lifelong relationships. And those things are very important to the chemistry of a team.
Kyle Pennington just took over as the boys basketball head coach at Little Rock Christian Academy in Arkansas. Kyle spent the past 4 seasons as the head coach at Russellville High School, where he posted an overall record of 85-27, including a 50-5 record in the 5A West Conference. At Russellville, he was a 4-time Conference Coach of the Year, and his teams won the conference championship all 4 years, with 2 Elite 8 finishes in the state tournament. Kyle also was selected to coach in the Arkansas Activities Association All-Star Game. At Russellville, Kyle coached 3 Conference Players of the Year, 11 All-State selections, and 4 current college basketball players. Hey Hoopheads, transform your training this May with our partners and friends at Dr. Dish Basketball. Their Dr. Dish shooting machines are undoubtedly the most advanced and user-friendly machines on the market. Get $1,000 off any commercial machine in the month of May. Learn more at drdishbasketball.com and follow their incredible content at Dr. Dish B-Ball on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Mention the Hoopheads podcast and save an extra $300 on the Dr. Dish Rebel, All-Star, and CT models. Visit drdishbasketball.com for details. That's a great deal, Hoopheads. Get your Dr. Dish shooting machine today.
This is Eric Gabriel, men's assistant basketball coach at High Point University, and you're listening to the Hoopheads podcast.
Prepare like the pros with the all-new Fast Draw and Fast Scout. Fast Draw has been the #1 play diagramming software for coaches for years. You'll quickly see why Fast Model Sports has the most compelling and intuitive basketball software out there. For a limited time, Fast Model is offering Hoopheads listeners 15% off Fast Draw and Fast Scout. Just use the code HHP15 at checkout to grab your discount, and you'll be on your way to more efficient game prep and improved communication with your team. Fast Model also has new coaching content every week on its blog, plus play and drill diagrams on its Playbank. Check out the links in the show notes for more. Fast Model Sports is the best in basketball. If you're looking to improve your coaching, please consider joining the Hoopheads Mentorship Program. We believe that having a mentor is the best way to maximize your potential and become a transformational coach. By matching you up with one of our experienced mentors, you'll develop a one-on-one relationship that will help your coaching, your team, your program, and your mindset. The Hoopheads Mentorship Program delivers mentoring services to basketball coaches at all levels through our team of experienced head coaches. Find out more at hoopheadspod.com or shoot me an email directly, mike@hoopheadspod.com. Follow us on social media at hoopheadspod on Twitter and Instagram, and be sure to check out the Hoopheads Podcast Network for more great basketball content. Coach, do you have a point guard or leader you're going to be counting on next season to run the show for you? Don't leave their success and your team's success to chance, or you may end up disappointed. Thousands of coaches send their players to a point guard college camp each year so they can discover how to think the game, lead your team, and run the show. They'll send them back to you a smarter player, a better leader, and better equipped to foster a championship culture next season in practice and in the locker room. You can go to pgcbasketball.com to find a camp near you. Grab your notebook before you listen to this episode with Kyle Pennington, head boys basketball coach at Little Rock Christian Academy in the state of Arkansas. Hello and welcome to the Hoopheads Podcast. It's Mike Klinzing here without my co-host Jason Sunkel tonight, but I am pleased to be joined by Kyle Pennington, the brand new head coach at Little Rock Christian, back for his second tour of duty on the podcast, almost 3 years to the day from his first appearance. Kyle, welcome back.
I appreciate you having me on again, and crazy. Three years almost to the day, so but excited to be with you tonight.
Definitely does not feel like it's been 3 years since that first episode, but since that took place, you had a lot going on, and you built the program at Russellville in the state of Arkansas into a winning program, a program that I'm sure as you left it to go to Little Rock Christian, you were very proud of what you were able to accomplish. So let's start there. Kind of give us a quick synopsis of your 4 years at Russellville, how you had success, what it took to have success there, and then as we move forward, we'll dive into the opportunity at Little Rock Christian.
Yeah, for sure, Mike. I think 4 years in Russellville, and again, we had that first interview after that first year, and so much goes into that. And I would, any young coaches or any coaches continuing to learn to go listen to that first one, just because. So much there of, that was my first year as a head coach, period. Worked for some really good guys, but there's nothing like experience. And that was a great experience. And then the next 3 years, great experience. Johnny Johnson, the AD there, believed in a young assistant coach and gave me my start there, and very grateful for that. But yeah, we had quite a bit of success, and that was built with players and built with relationships with players ultimately, and there in Russellville, for 4 years, won 4 conference championships, and had 11 all-state selections, and got 4 current guys playing college basketball. Danye May is a kid that just signed with Connor State JUCO, and so JUCO over in Oklahoma, and he's a guy that's going to have a good career, and just really excited that I was there to be a part of the growth of that program, and always been taught to leave things better than you find them, and definitely believe that we did that for sure.
When the opportunity at Little Rock Christian comes your way, when you start thinking about that chance to go and take a new job, was that something that you were actively looking for an opportunity? Was that something that just because of what Little Rock Christian can be in your mind that it was intriguing? Just talk about your initial response to that opportunity.
Yeah, I think this is going to sound cliche, but I just try to be really, really good in the moment. Try to be really good wherever my feet are planted. And that's another thing that my father taught me. And I wouldn't say that I planned to go to Little Rock Christian. It just kind of happened organically, and but obviously when the opportunity came about, it was a no-brainer for me and my family, my wife Caitlin, and my little boy Harrison will be 6 in October, and my little daughter Arlie will be 3 in June. So crazy how much since the first time we talked.
Exactly.
The family has grown, but it was definitely an intriguing opportunity once it came about.
Does somebody call you about it? Do you hear about the opening through the coaching grapevine? How do you get wind that the job's going to be open?
Yeah, so it was it was a known fact in the state of Arkansas, really all year, this basketball season, that the previous coach was going to retire. He had a really great career at a few different schools in the state of Arkansas, and so people knew that he was going to retire. It was his last year, and so it was definitely known throughout the state. And I think they interviewed over 30 people for the job throughout the year, and it was a thing for me that I didn't speak to anybody at Little Rock Christian until after the season was over. It's just my style of doing things. I don't think that's, I'm not a guy out here, again, seeking the next job or anything like that. I think it's just important to be where you're at. And, I'm a man of faith, and I believe God has a role in that, about, where my family needs to be. And so, it was once it came up, I talked with Johnny Watson, the athletic director at Little Rock Christian, and drove down and met him at night, in kind of a respectful way for both of us, that we can meet, at night and just talk about this job and see if there's mutual interest. And from there, went to a formal interview and with Coach Watson and the head of school, Dr. Gary Arnold. And so, I think it's just a situation that it came about pretty quickly for me. And so obviously was excited. And once I talked with Coach Watson and Dr. Arnold and got a feel for what they wanted out of the program, what they wanted the program to be within the school, and then the school itself and the culture of the school and what I believe we can do with this program. And so obviously from there took the job and have been on the job here for over a month, and just excited about where we're headed.
What were some of the things that you wanted to ask them, or questions that you had about Little Rock Christian and kind of where their philosophy was, where their head was when it came to building the type of high school basketball program that you wanted to be a part of, that you wanted to lead?
Yeah, I think, just really more conversation and getting to know them as people, and getting to know Coach Watson. And I think when you're going to work for somebody and work closely with somebody, you obviously want to get along with that person and have mutual respect, and definitely felt that in our conversations. He was very open with me and kept me in the loop on things. And then I think too is just, there's a few things within a basketball program, obviously, the kids that are in the school, that play basketball, what's the program currently look like? Where do they want the program to be in 5 years? And then, just that part for me is so what are their expectations? I think it's it's a good idea to have clear expectations up front, but to understand those on both sides. And so, again, all those things kind of worked out for us, and it's kind of the way it went.
Before we go forward at Little Rock Christian, let's go backwards to Russellville. When you take the job, you obviously have to go back and have a conversation with the Russellville community, with your players. What was that like? What was your process for meeting with the players, talking to them, explaining the move that you were about to make, and just emotionally, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I think everybody does that differently. And for me, it was a very emotional time for sure. Again, with it being my first head coaching position, and the way that we kind of got the program rolling. Again, you win 85 games in 4 years with some really great players and some great people to be around that you're working with as well. I think that it'd be crazy not to be emotional. And so, the night before, telling my team, I didn't sleep real well. And then leading up to that moment, and, I just had a raw moment with my team, is the only way to say it. And told them that, that we were our family was heading to Little Rock, and it wasn't a 15-minute deal. I sat with them, and there were tears and there were hugs and those things. And these are guys that I will continue to have a relationship with the rest of my life. And that's my philosophy is building relationships with people, and being very intentional that they know that you care about them. And so that moment was about those guys. That's what that moment was about. So it was definitely an emotional and a hard moment to have, but it was needed. And I know those guys respect it for that.
What were the conversations like with your wife leading up to the decision to take the job? Because obviously there's more than just let's take the job. There's moving the family, getting into a whole different environment. You're going from a public school setting to a private school setting. So talk a little bit about what your conversation sounded like with your wife.
Yeah, obviously the wife's in charge, right? Happy wife, happy life.
Absolutely.
And so I think it was very important that, that I got her down there, after that initial interview with Coach Watson, that she came down the next time and toured the school and the facilities and for Harrison, our little boys going into kindergarten. So it was important for her to see that and feel like it was a fit for our family. And she was excited, and that was a good thing, and kind of the funny part is, I was off doing an interview and she was with someone else kind of touring and looking through the school and meeting with people. And so when we finally got back together, I could see it in her face. She didn't have to say a word. Her eyes lit up, and that was a good feeling, right? And again, that's a God thing to me. I feel like we both knew, as soon as we saw each other again, that this was going to be a great opportunity for our family, and that these guys and this team, this program, that it was a great fit for me as a coach.
Where are you on the moving process?
Yeah, so I am. We are right in the thick of it. We close on our house in Russellville next Friday, and then with the market the way it is, I'm not sure how it is up there, but here in Arkansas, it's a good time to sell. It's a tough time to buy, and so we have secured a house in Little Rock, and we close about 20 days later than closing on the first house, the house that we're selling in Russellville, and so. Not bad of a gap really in this market, to be honest. So, got some lining up the movers and lined up some storage space for those 20 days, and then we'll move it into the new house and get mid-June. By mid-June, we will get completely settled. And so, I have an aunt and uncle that live here in Little Rock that have been gracious enough to let me stay with them through the week. And then on the weekends, I go back to Russellville and try to help the wife pack and play Mr. Mom for a little while. So,
yeah, it's just taking a new job, right? There's no other complications that go along with it, right, Kyle?
That's exactly right. And that's why, these questions, I love how, just kind of raw you're getting with them, because I think it's important for others to know. I think a lot of people think, hey, you get a new job, there's this flashy thing, and it's great. We'll get into all that, but the this side of it, you've definitely got some things that, here for a month. The thing I keep telling my wife is, anytime it's like this, is we know it's the right decision, and it won't be like this part for long, and it's only gonna make us stronger for sure.
Sometimes it's hard to see that in the moment, but that's 100% right. It's sometimes difficult to see it as you're going through and packing up and moving, and anybody who's moved at all, especially when you have kids, the amount of stuff that you got to pack up and move and yet still have access to and all that. It's just, ugh. I remember those days. I remember those days well. I moved when, my daughter was probably 2 and my son was about 4 months. So I can definitely relate to trying to get everything packed up and just, it's a lot of work, a lot more than I think sometimes people who haven't done it perceive from the outside. So kudos to you for getting that done.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So let's jump ahead now to Little Rock Christian. You get the job. Who are some of the first people, stakeholders that you feel like you've got to talk to in order to get a handle on where the program is, so you can start to figure out and formulate what you want to do and what you need to do in order to build the program and you want it to be? So who are those conversations?
Yeah, so the coaches that are on staff, already within the program, that was other than the athletic director and the head of school and those people, the coaches on staff, it was very important that I meet with them and tried to meet with them immediately. Got down to Little Rock Christian and they had I met the players and met the coaches briefly, but then I just I wanted to meet with the assistants and the junior high coaches immediately and just kind of get their feel for where the program's at, where they want to see it go, and how we can do that together. And if they see themselves continuing to be a part of that. And so that was important. And where, then my point from there is being very intentional about where these guys sit on this bus. What seat are they in moving forward? And so I think those conversations really helped me with that, and speaking to each of those guys, and helped see where the program was at. And then immediately after that was having one-on-ones with the players and just kind of seeing where they're at personally. Building relationships with people is the most important part of this. And anybody that tells you differently, maybe they can do it that way. But this is our way of doing it. And so, just meeting with those guys and what were things that they've, how do they feel? Where are they at right now as a basketball player, but where are they at as a person? And trying to help guide them forward. And so those were the conversations that were had, in the first week to week and a half.
What were some of the insights that you took away from your conversations, first with the coaches and then from the players? So you can either lump those together into one answer, or maybe you came away with some different insights from the coaches than from the players, or vice versa. Yeah.
So, I think just overall, that this program wasn't in dire straits. Coach Finley, the guy that was here before, has done a heck of a job throughout his career. Has won state titles here in the state of Arkansas, and but just different things that each coach shared that they think within the program that's been done really well, and then things they'd like to see. And I think that those, some of those conversations, I think are, you just want to make sure, they understand that, that they feel valued with me as the head coach. I want to make sure those guys know that I value each of their opinions and what they bring to the table. And then, with the players too, is, obviously, different styles of play or how they see themselves continuing to grow as a player within the program. And, I had players ask me questions, and why are you here? And how do you play? What's your philosophy? And so it was a good first week and a half to 10 days of just having conversations with those people. And, it's something that you can't get back. And I think that's why it's very important to do it early. And it's raw. It's in the moment. You're going to get everybody's emotions, and that's important because I think you want to, again, let them know that, hey, we're here to get this thing rolling, and we're going to do that with you. And so there were good conversations for sure.
Did you end up bringing back most of the staff, or where are you in that process?
Yeah, so I did bring back most of the staff. I shuffled around a little bit of where they were. I had a Corliss Williamson who played college basketball for the Razorbacks and won a national title, and then played in the NBA for various teams. He is a volunteer assistant with us. He does a heck of a job. He is very detail oriented with the players, and so speaking with him and seeing where the things that he brought to the table for us, which is so much. It's invaluable, all the things he can bring to the table. Coached in the NBA, and so he was already on staff as a volunteer assistant, and I thought it was great to keep him at the high school level in that seat. Coach Leonard Blocker is a guy that he was the 8th grade coach, and he was just at the lower level. He did not coach on the high school level, and so he's good with player development. He's got 2 sons that are highly recruited basketball players. One will be a senior this year. He's actually at Sunrise Christian, and he's got 3 sons, but 2 that are older and one that's quite younger. But the 2 older ones, the senior Layden is at Sunrise Christian, and then Landron is a junior for us at Little Rock Christian. And so, he has really developed them as players. And so I really thought it was valuable that he could help do that for all of our players. And, I think it's important to see him, do that. And he dips down to the elementary ages and works with them, with his younger son Langston and some other kids within the school. And so we kept him on, but he is the head 7th grade coach, which is the first coach that's actually within our program. So he sees the kids first. And again, with player development, I just thought, being very intentional with that, I think that's a great spot. And then he's also assistant coach with me at the high school, and so he's involved with us on the day-to-day with our high school program and what we do and what we implement. And so another guy that's very valuable to us, David Torres, is a coach who has a ton of experience, 37, 38 years of coaching in the state of Arkansas. He's, an older coach, but he has a ton of energy and ton of positive energy that he brings to the table. And so I thought he was important. He was a guy that was the head 9th grade coach, the head junior high coach here in Arkansas. 9th grade is like the head junior high. And so I actually moved him up to be an assistant at the high school. I think he's a guy that just brings a lot of wisdom, and again, just being very intentional with our coaching staff and where they're at with us in each seat. And so very, very happy to have Coach Torres up there with us. And in that seat. And so, and then Andrew Counts, Coach Counts, was the 7th grade coach previously, and he's moved up and he's coaching the junior high now. So he's coaching 8th and 9th grade basketball, and a younger coach, a few years of experience, but man, he's a sponge. He's just soaking up anything and everything from all the coaches, and watches lots of film, and is just you can tell that he is wanting to continue to learn and continue to get better. And so he's going to be a heck of a coach as well. So, very excited about our staff and the spots that we have them in. I think that it's going to be very good for our kids. I think that they're going to best serve our kids at Little Rock Christian. And that's the main point of being very intentional, is how can we best serve the student athletes at Little Rock Christian. And so, with our staff, with where they're at, again, with their seat on the bus, I think we're headed in the right direction for sure.
Once you have those guys in place and you solidify that they know their role, they're going to be a part of the program moving forward, what, from a standpoint of thinking about building the program into what you want it to be, what's the first step or two that you took after you looked and sort of surveyed the landscape? What were the first 1 or 2 things once you had the staff in place that you started to focus on?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that question, because the first question that I asked our staff was, what were the first 3 things that needed to be addressed or done? What are the most 3 important aspects that to get this program rolling? And so obviously got some answers, different answers, and got some that were the same. And so for me, it's a few things. Off the floor, number one is that we build meaningful relationships with everybody involved in our program. Obviously the players are who we're centered around. We want to be a player-centered program. So we're centering around those players and how we can help develop them on and off the floor. And so obviously building relationships with them, building relationships within our coaching staff, and then building relationships with everybody involved. And that's the parents as well. I think in today's day and age, if you think you can just, that's not a part of your program, then you're crazy. I think it's very important that parents feel involved and want to be involved. And, we all have a role within this program. And so, once people feel like they can trust you with their kids, that's a very important step in a program to getting everybody on the same page. And so, again, number one, I feel like, is just building those relationships with everybody within the program. And then, two, we've got to be very proactive with what we do and not be reactive. I think the people that are the best at what they do, no matter what they do, if it's the business world, if it's the NBA, if it's anything that you're doing, learn to be proactive in decision making. Learn to be proactive in moving forward with a program instead of trying to react to everything. And so, setting our expectations with our players and our coaches and what we want to be about, and beginning to work what that's going to look like each day. And in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I really feel like our team's grown a ton on the floor, and the way we're wanting to play offensively and defensively. But that takes a lot of time. I'm a guy that's I'm a Jay Wright Villanova guy with offense and how we're going to play, and mix in a little NBA with that. with the 5 wide stuff. And so when you're going to play that way, there's a lot of breakdown to it. There's a lot of work, a lot of footwork, lots of shot fakes, lots of jabs, lots of 2-foot finish, and that's a lot of breakdown drills. But everybody knows you got to play this game too. So I think it's very important that they get time where we're playing 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 as well. And so Rome wasn't built in a day, but each day we just want to take a step forward. I think it's very important that we keep an eye on the process and take a step forward each day. And so, that's the things that we're working on right now for sure.
Your first impression is everything when applying for a new coaching job. A professional coaching portfolio is the tool that highlights your coaching achievements and philosophies, and most of all, helps separate you and your abilities from the other applicants. The Coaching Portfolio Guide is an instructional membership-based website that helps you develop a personalized portfolio. Each section of the Portfolio Guide provides detailed instructions on how to organize your portfolio in a professional manner. The guide also provides sample documents for each section of your portfolio that you can copy, modify, and add to your personal portfolio. As a Hoopheads Pod listener, you can get your Coaching Portfolio Guide for just $25. Visit coachingportfolioguide.com/hoopheads to learn more. How much time did you spend watching film of your players from last year to get a feel of kind of what you had coming back from a talent standpoint? And then obviously when you're out on the floor with them and you're working on the things that you just talked about, you're getting to see them firsthand. So how have you kind of looked at, hey, what do we have here on the roster in terms of how we're going to play, what the philosophy is going to be moving forward based on the roster construction, what your kids can and can't do? How much have you watched film, and then how much are you kind of using your judgment as you're seeing them, as you're getting them more on the floor?
Right. Watched film from day one, still watching film, watched full game film. We have Huddle and Huddle Assist, and we have the Huddle Focus camera. So got lots of resources to watch the film. And so then here lately, this last about week and a half, I've been breaking down each player's shots with the Huddle Assist, and where they've shot the ball well from, watching the film, and then looking at the shot chart, and then where they maybe struggled a little bit, and then two, assists and steals and turnovers, and you can basically look at any stat you want to. And so just trying to get a feel for each player, breaking down those stats, and then again, now that we're on the floor, seeing where they're at right now. And again, there's room for growth, and we're in early May here, and so yes, I'm getting a feel for each player, but I think it's important that they know you have a vision for them, not just as a team, but individually. You got guys that want to continue to play college basketball. You got guys that want to win a state championship in high school basketball, or want to be a successful part, want to grow, want to move on from playing JV to playing varsity. Everybody has their own goals and aspirations. And so, for me, it's let's align this vision for each player to better our team, but also let's better these guys individually. And so, we've got time here, in May, June, and July to continue to grow as a team, and for these guys to grow individually.
At Russellville, how did you get those goals and aspirations for the players to fit in with the goals and aspirations that you have for the team? Because obviously, when your players get better and are striving to be the best they can be, that can be good for your team. But occasionally, players can have goals that maybe aren't realistic, or maybe they just don't mesh quite as well with sort of the vision that you have for the team. So when you're having conversations with players about, I want to move up from JV to be a varsity starter, and maybe it's a kid who that's at this point in their career, that's not realistic for them. So just what are those conversations like where you want to help your players grow, you want them to be striving to get better and to have goals on an individual level, but yet ultimately you want the individual to fit in with the team vision that you have. So how do you balance those two?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's a work in progress, and teaching each kid that it is a process. This isn't just something we say. We're just trying to take a step forward each day. And, if these are your goals, there's certain ways to get there. If you're just practicing when you come in the gym to practice with our team, and you don't spend extra time on your own or with a trainer or, on your summer team, I think it's, that's the first conversation is how much time are you spending to get better at this game. And so, that's a big piece of it. And then, I think it's important to be upfront and be truthful with players about where they're at. But also, again, know that they need to know you believe in them and that you can help them grow to where they want to go, as long as they're willing to put in that work. And so that's things we've done in the past. And then, just having a growth mindset, are you getting one step better each day? And do you see the positive outlook? And there's so much to that, not only in this game of basketball, but in life is, do you have a growth mindset or do you have a fixed mindset? And we want to have a growth mindset in everything we do. And we want to model the traits that we want to see out of our team. All the coaches, we want to model the traits that we want to see out of the individuals and out of the team, and then reinforce those. There's a huge part of winning is just becoming a true team. A huge part is sacrificing, sacrificing sometimes your personal wants and needs for the betterment of the team. And so, again, individual skill work and things to get guys better individually to attain their goals, to play at the next level. And then at times as a team, what is best for this team to win? And, I think that's an important part of winning. And for the coaches side as well is, we got to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And so, we've had some tough conversations in the past, and conversations that I call heart-to-heart conversations, where teams in a locker room are sharing what they think is within this team is going well, and things that we need to get better at. And I think those tough conversations help you continue to grow as a team and help you to build real lifelong relationships. And those things are very important to the chemistry of a team. And then I think trusting your people, and that comes with time, and coaches trusting coaches, coaches trusting players, and then players trusting the coaches, and then players trusting each other. And so believing in each other. Do you believe in the vision that's set before you? Do you believe believe in yourself, believe in your coaches, and believe in your teammates, and great things are going to happen. That's what we've said a ton, and I believe those things. And if we can continue to do that, then we're going to be successful.
How long did it take you at Russellville to build up that kind of trust and those types of relationships where when you were having the types of conversations like you're talking about, when you're in the locker room or in a meeting room or watching film, where you can have those honest conversations and kids are really opening up and sharing things about themselves, making themselves vulnerable. Because we all know that if you are a player or a coach for that matter, and you haven't been in that kind of environment, that the first time a question or a conversation like that comes up, there's a lot of people looking out of the side of their eyes at each other going, well, I'm not going to say anything. Are you going to say anything? What are we going to do? How long does it take for you to kind of get your team used to the way you want them to communicate?
Yeah, I don't think there's any set time, but I'll tell you this, it takes quite a while. I don't think my first year at Russellville, it took almost the whole year. We got to second semester before those conversations were being had. And once they were, we took off because, again, there's trust in that locker room. But it takes time for sure. And each team, it takes a different amount of time. And, I think not to force that as well. I think they got to trust you, but part of that is everybody's been through something. Everybody has something they can share or bring to the table and help somebody else. And I think that starts with the coaches. This coaching staff that we have here at Little Rock Christian. There's each of them can reach kids in a way that is very powerful, just by sharing a time where adversity hit them, or whatever that adversity might be, whether it was as a player or a coach or whatever, and sharing that we're real people, and I think again, building relationships with people. If I've said that once, I've said it 100 times on this podcast, but it's true. It's what I believe in. And I think it's what leads to the ultimate success.
What's a story that you shared from your personal life with your players at Little Rock Christian to do exactly what you just said, to help them to see you as a well-rounded human being and not just as their coach, and to sort of model for them what you hope and expect will be their form of communication? Yeah,
so, I haven't shared a ton yet with Little Rock Christian players, but what I've got is I've got pictures on my desks, and those pictures all have a deep meaning, and there's a bunch of different pictures, and I'll give you one example. Is there's a picture of a little house that my dad and his 5 siblings. My dad's one of 6 siblings, and he's right in the middle, or he's number 3. They grew up in a little house, actually in Little Rock, on North Taylor Street, just north of War Memorial Stadium. And they lived with their mom. Dad was an alcoholic. It wasn't always the best of times when it came to money. And it's very important to show them that here's where I'm going with this is, my father and his siblings and where they're at today and the success that they've had comes from that little house and their mother paving a way for them. And, I think about that and, almost get emotional here about how my dad raised me and where I'm at today and where I wouldn't, be without him. And that all goes back to that little house on North Taylor Street in Little Rock, Arkansas. And so I'm very grateful for my grandmother and the way that she raised those 6 children. I'm very grateful for the way that my father raised me, and that you can come from anything, humble beginnings, however you want to talk about it, to get to where you want to go. It's just how hard are you willing to work, and how big's your heart, and who do you want to be in life? And so, that's just one little story of that picture. So I have, probably 7 or 8 picture frames around that, each of them have a story to share, and so, I think it's important again, just to show who you are, and show that, that you're going to, that's helped you get to where you're at today.
Being able to share those personal stories and using a photograph, it's an interesting technique. I know as a teacher, when I was back in the classroom many, many years ago, that was one of the things I'd like to do when I was trying to teach writing, is just show the kids a picture, say, hey, tell the story. And I'm sure that as the kids come in and sitting on your desk and they're looking at the pictures, and it becomes organic when they ask, hey, what's this a picture of? Or what's this? Why is this picture important to you? And it allows you to tell that story of your dad and where he grew up. And obviously then there's lessons that you can incorporate all throughout your interactions with your players. And to me, when you're doing that, now you're having an impact well beyond the basketball court, which I know is something that is important to you, and that you've tried to have an effect on your kids' lives, not just as basketball players, but as human beings as well. And by opening yourself up and telling those stories and sharing, I think that gives you the opportunity to have a bigger impact with them, both on and off the basketball court. So let's get back to on the court stuff moving forward. When you think about what you're going to do this summer and what you've done thus far in the spring, how much do you balance out individual skill development versus them getting up and down and playing 5-on-5 and starting to put things in that you're going to use next fall? Just where do you see the design of your summer program? What is that going to look like?
Yeah, so we've got a summer calendar all ready for the guys, and kind of our plan of attack to get better. And for the month of May right now, we're lifting in the weight room, and we're doing some team skill work. I would say that there's individual skill work involved within our team breakdown, offensively and defensively, but it's ultimately building up to the team, and that's going into early June with we've got a few team camps that we're going to. We're going down to Ole Miss team camp in early June, and to continue to grow as a team, and I think that trip will be a great trip, staying one night overnight in the dorms, and hopefully continuing to build a team chemistry there. And we're coming back the next week and playing in a team camp at Hendrix College here, and it's in Conway, just north of Little Rock. It's and it's called the Big Red Team Camp, and it's a team camp that is probably the best one in the state of Arkansas. A lot of the great teams within the state are in that team camp, and so another chance for us to go compete against other teams. And then last couple of weeks of June before the dead period, there's a 2-week dead period here in the state of Arkansas where no contact and kids can't be on school campus. Kind of give them those 2 weeks off. Those next 2 weeks will be where we focus. We're getting back on focus individually, and then when we come back from that 2-week dead period in early July, we'll really hit our weight program hard through July and into August, and the second portion of that will be our skill development individually. We'll have a couple of summer league nights that we'll play, but for the month of July it'll be a lot of individual things that they need to get better at for us, but ultimately for them and the things that they want to grow in. Again, everybody has a vision for themselves, and we want to help that become a reality. So that's kind of what the summer looks like within our program.
Moving from a public school to a private school obviously has an impact on how you develop younger players that are eventually going to be part of
your high school program, and talk a little bit about the idea at a private school of being able to attract more players with the quality of what you're trying to do in your program. Obviously, you're in a public school. You are limited to the kids that live in your public school district. When you are at a private school, you have a wider reach to be able to draw student athletes from areas outside of the city in which your school resides. So just talk a little bit about how you plan to be able to be attractive to players, both from a school standpoint and a basketball standpoint. What do the conversations look like around that idea?
Yeah, I think, number one is, here in the state of Arkansas, there's very strict rules when it comes to recruiting. And obviously, there's a stigma there that private schools all recruit, and we're not going to get into the recruiting world. We're obviously we've got guys that are going to be kind of homegrown within our private school as well that grow up through the school. It is a K through 12, actually pre-K through 12 school, and I believe it's the largest, if not top 2 largest private schools in the state of Arkansas. And so much to pull from. But yeah, I think private schools in general, just from the academic side, Little Rock Christian, the things that are offered academically have a draw for students. And I think sometimes students might be a football player or a basketball player or whatever. And so I think the school being the number one thing that, and the academics are very, very rigorous, at Little Rock Christian. And so I think, parents really want to, help their students get where they want to go, in college and ultimately in their career. And so, on the basketball side of it, again, we're just going to build our program and do it the way that we know is the right way to do it. And all those other things kind of take care of themselves. That's kind of the way that we're going to go about it.
What's been the most pleasant surprise that you've experienced since you've been there? Maybe something that you didn't expect and you're like, wow, this is even better than what I thought, or boy, I didn't expect that this would be in as good a shape. This is really going to help us. Has there been something that stands out in that respect?
Yeah, 2 things. One, within the school community itself, a very tight-knit community, at Little Rock Christian, a very almost a small town feel within this within the Little Rock Christian community with the parents and the teachers and the students and student athletes and coaches. And so really the support within the school and the program, I really think is going to be great. I think we get this thing rolling and get those stands rocking. And I think that it's an opportunity where here at this school where that can absolutely happen. It's not a thing where you're just going to have the parents there and some students. I really think it's a community, and I think people will come out to be supportive of our young guys. And then on the basketball floor there's a lot of talent here. We've got a wide range of talent. Again, I named Landry Blocker as a junior for us that is going to be a heck of a player, and we have a senior, Ben Fox, who's another guy that is going to be a great player. Corliss Williamson Jr., Jamil Wesley II. J.J. Andrews is a guy that's going into the 9th grade and projects very highly. We've got guys that play on the EYBL teams, and we've got guys that play on local AAU teams, and again, we've got a wide range, but a lot of talented kids. I just named a few there, but we've got so many young, talented kids, even in the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And then guys on our JV program that we know are talented. They're going to work hard and continue to get better to eventually play, at the varsity level. And so, I just really believe that the talent level within the program is in a good spot, and if not good, in a great spot, and will only continue to get better. And so, very excited about that, and excited about all these players, and just continuing to get to know them, and just best serve them as we can.
Let's go back to the community piece and look at what you, as the head coach, as the face of the program, what can you do? What do you plan to do? What did you do at Russellville to try to engage the greater student body, the faculty, the members of, like obviously in Russellville, you're talking about people who are community members who live in Russellville with Little Rock Christian. It's a little bit different. You're talking about the school community rather than just a specific within the city limits. But just how do you, as the head coach, how do you go about generating excitement about the program to get more people to come through the turnstiles on Friday night when you start playing next fall?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. One, within our program, let's build those relationships. Two, on the outside, the social media is a big part. Twitter, Instagram, all those things, making sure that you're putting content out there for the community to see. As the season gets closer, what that content looks like, whether it be, kind of some, beginning of the year pictures, a countdown towards the season, into, a game graphic, on game days, and, all those things with social media. I think that's an important piece. And then I think, within the school community is making sure that our faces are seen as coaches and players at other school events, whether that be football games or baseball games or, anything, band concerts, making sure that us as coaches are in the lunchroom talking to kids other than just our basketball players, and that we are entrenched in the school community. I think that garners support, and then ultimately winning basketball games, I think continues to start that buzz, and people want to putting a great product out there on the floor, a team that people can get behind. And I think that we have that with these players. We've got a bunch of players with high character that are good basketball players, and so just building that as it goes. And I think once we get to late first semester and then early second semester, I really think this community will come out and be very supportive for this team.
Looking ahead to the season, how are you going to define success come next March when the season ends and you look back? How are you going to define whether or not it was a successful season?
I think that's a loaded question as well, but I go back to, there's all different types of success. I think to that, the Last Dance documentary with Jordan, that, leadership has a price, winning has a price. And that's a lot of hard work between now and then as far as winning goes. But the winning's going to come if we do all the other things correctly. That scoreboard takes care of itself. And that's a lot of hard work to be put in by our guys. And then I think too is just continuing to build a team. Are we a true team? Do we care about each other? Are we playing for each other? Are we playing for warriors across our chest? We're the Little Rock Christian Warriors. Are we playing for the Warriors? Do we have a ton of pride in playing for that? And I know a team is successful by the last game of the season. And the last game of the season, whether you win or lose, if those guys are in that locker room with tears in their eyes, hugging each other, then you've been successful. So a long story short there, I think that last locker room is how I see, hey, this journey, I think it's very important to that process and journey to fall in love with it. And if you did, then that last locker room, whether it's win or lose, is going to be tears and hugs and those things between everybody, and that's a special moment for sure.
That's a great definition of success. I think it really sums up what being a team is all about. And I love how you said whether it's win or it's lose, when the season's over and everybody looks around the locker room and says, "Man, I wish this could keep going on. I wish it could go on forever." Then you know that you've done something right regardless of what's happened on the scoreboard. Because ultimately, look, we're all judged by wins and losses in some way, shape, or form by the outside public. But the reality is that the relationships you build, you and I both know that as athletes, as coaches, that when you look back on your experiences, you don't remember what the score was of every single game. You don't remember your record from every single season. But what you do remember are those special moments that you had with your teammates or with your coaching staff. And that's really ultimately where you find what success is. And of course, if you do that well, I think it translates to wins and losses. It translates to those wins on the scoreboard. But ultimately, it's those memories and that relationships that really provide meaning to what we do. So when you think about that as your definition of success, in order to get there, and I'm sure you've thought about this, what are some of the roadblocks that could potentially derail you from getting to that success? When you think about what are the things that could potentially get in the way of you being able to get to that moment where you have that ultimate success?
Yeah, I think it's just, everybody, that word sacrifice comes back to my mind. Hearing you ask that question is everybody has to sacrifice something for the team to be great. That doesn't mean you're sacrificing shots necessarily off, if you're a player. It doesn't always, when you hear the word sacrifice, that makes all humans kind of take a step back a little bit, right? Because that's who we are as human beings. Is it's hard to sacrifice, but I think this team coming together, sacrificing for each other, working for each other, those are things that need to happen. And again, that's a process. It takes a lot of time to get that. And so just being very intentional every day and, making sure that we have the right guys in the right seat. And so I don't think as much about the things that derail as the things that can keep it on the rails. And I think, again, that's a growth mindset. That's a positive mindset. Definitely know the things that, however you want to call it, selfishness, the me mentality, the focusing on all the wrong things, outside noise getting in the team that, that maybe telling guys the wrong things, and so, again, that all comes back to, do we trust each other in this, within this program? Do the players trust the coaches trust the players, the coaches trust the coaches, and the players trust the players? And I think that's something that got to be very intentional with building each day, so that doesn't happen.
On a personal level, I'm going to ask you to self-evaluate, and you think about the personal characteristics of you as a person, as a coach. If you had to pick out one or two things about yourself that you feel have been critical to your success, what would those character traits be that you feel have allowed you to have success at Russellville and are going to allow you to have success moving forward at Little Rock Christian?
Yeah, I think there's three things that have been very pivotal in the success of our programs. That's one is having a positive growth mindset. That's not a fake positivity. It's just, are you taking a step forward? And then on a day that you're not, are you gonna punch that mouth and punch that day in the mouth the next day to take two steps forward? And having that positive outlook and having that growth mindset is very important to that. And then number two, I think, is trusting the people around you within your program. And some of that early on in a program is blind trust as the head coach, to be honest. And trusting people that they're going to do their jobs. And then number three is holding people accountable to doing their jobs, players, coaches, and myself, holding myself accountable, having the coaches hold me accountable, and so I think those things are very, very important to the success of the program. And then lastly too is just building those relationships, building meaningful relationships with everybody within the program, being intentional about that, and being true to yourself. If there's anything that anybody needs to hear out here, is be true to who you are. You've had so many people influence your life personally, on a personal level, and then, as a coach, you know what you want to be about and who you want to be. Be true to yourself and let those things fall into place.
What's been the coolest part about having a former NBA player on your staff?
Man, I'm still building a relationship with Corliss. He's a great guy. So much wisdom, not just in basketball, but man, I got this staff where I've got these older guys. And I'm going to come back to your question, but it just reminded me I've got these guys that are older than me on my staff, and just their wisdom as dads. I've got two young children, and just where they're at with their kids, and I try to soak up anything and everything. Again, I'm going to learn every day something from somebody, and so. That's been cool. But to get back to your question about Corliss, man, it's just the ultimate professional. Shows up early, leaves late. A guy that's going to do everything the right way, and an ultimate professional. Very, very blessed. To have him a part of our program, and to he not only played in the NBA, he coached in the NBA. He was a head coach at Division I college basketball. He's done a lot, and so just blessed to have him in our program, and just being able to bounce things off of him. Each day at the end of practice, just bouncing two or three things off of him. It has been great, and the same thing with our other guys. I've got a lot of respect for our assistant coaches and who we have in place, and all our coaches, and so bouncing things off those guys, and and letting them, again, each one of them is very important, and they play a vital role in the success of our program. And so, but yeah, for me personally, man, just being able to learn from them as well. I hope they're learning things from me, and I'm definitely learning things from them as well.
What's brought you the most joy to this point?
I think there's two things. One, off the floor, is the way that everything's worked out, the way my wife is happy with the move, our family's happy with the move, how accommodating people have been to help us with this transition. Another God thing is just how quickly our house sold, how it sold. Is a whole nother story, and how we found the house here. Again, is when you're in the right place, things fall into place. And so, off the floor, just that part, and really helping ease the transition for me and my family. And then on the floor, watching these guys have little successes each day. And then help them see those things. I think it's so easy for us as coaches to pinpoint the things we have to get better at. And that's a great part too, because that's our job. But letting these kids see their successes, even if it's a tiny step forward, and see them start to believe in themselves and then believe in the program that we're building. Man, it's fun to watch kids, that light bulb start to come on. And, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I'm starting to see that with these guys and their belief in each other, their belief in our coaching staff, and where we're headed. So, man, that gives me a ton of joy and kind of fires me up tonight, late at night. So, for sure, that's it.
Before we wrap things up, I want to give you an opportunity to share how people can find out more about your program, whether you want to share social media, email, website, whatever you feel comfortable with. And also, if there's anything about the transition that I didn't ask or that we didn't hit on that you wanted to make sure that you get in there, please go ahead and do that. And then after you go ahead and share, then I'll jump back in and wrap things up.
Yeah, for sure. Our program on Twitter is at LRCA_hoops. That is our Little Rock Christian Warrior Basketball Twitter page. My personal one is at AK Pennington. We always are sharing things about our program, sharing things about our players. It's a big part of the recruiting process now is social media and making sure we're getting content out there and, obviously see some of the things that we're doing and how we promote those things within our program. And then me personally too, if you ever want to email me, my email is kyle.pennington@littlerockchristian.com. Again, want to help grow this game any way I can, and I want to grow myself more within the game. So always love to connect with people. Coach told me a long time ago that ball has magic in it, and the places it'll take you, and the people that you will meet and come in contact with. It's amazing. And so, I'm always willing to share, and I'm always an ear to listen and learn myself. So, that's how you contact us or our program or me. And for sure, excited about this. Thank you again for having me on for this second time. Hope this was insightful for people as far as kind of a transition and how it works. With our story and how that's worked for us at this point. And again, can't thank you guys enough at Hoopheads, what you do to grow this game, and excited hopefully to come on and share some more success from Little Rock Christian in the future.
Appreciate those kind words. It's certainly something that we take our responsibility and our privilege to be able to share. We don't take that lightly, so thank you for those kind words. It's fun to have you as a member of our Two Timers Club and being able to be a part of that and have you back on and just learn a little bit more about what you've been able to do in this transition from one coaching job to another. We know it's a spot that a lot of coaches will be in at some point in their career, going from one program to another. And I think you provided a lot of insight as to how to go about doing that and just some ideas for coaches to think about as they transition from one job to another. So again, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time out of your schedule to jump on with us, to share with our audience, and to just let people know what it is that you've been trying to do and how you've gone about making the transition. So thank you. And to everyone out there, we appreciate you listening, and we will catch you on our next episode. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Hoop Heads podcast, presented by Head Start Basketball.